I'm Christopher Lee. Join me for 100 years of horror.
Let me out, Jekyll, let me out.
Robert Louis Stevenson's classic novel, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, is a wonderfully constructed mystery. The author holds back the secret of the dual identity until very late in the story. As a result, film versions of the story attracted some of the most notable actors of their era. John Barrymore, Frederick March, Spencer Tracy, Kirk Douglas, even Christopher Lee.
Early film versions ran only 5 or 10 minutes in length. Obviously, the subtlety of Stevenson's story was lost. In 1920, producer Jesse Lasky hired John Barrymore for a lavish period production of the story. The 38-year-old matinee idol delighted in distorting his handsome features into the repulsive Mr. Hyde. Initially, this change was done solely with acting. Only at a cut to his hand, becoming elongated and spidery, does the film resort to makeup and camera effects. The metaphor again appears when Jekyll forswears his alter ego, only to be overcome by the evil as he sleeps. Barrymore himself wore the spider costume.
He used to delight in donning grotesque makeups and whatnot, and this was just, I think he was having fun. He was having a good time distorting himself one more time.
Inspired by Universal Studios' successes of Dracula and Frankenstein, Paramount Pictures decided to film Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in 1932. The lead role, or roles, was given to an actor previously known for his work as a light comedian, Frederick March. The makeup for March's Mr. Hyde took Paramount's Wally Westmore 3 hours to apply each morning. March took home the Best Actor Oscar for his trouble. Instead of announcing his name as the winner at the Academy's dinner ceremony, presenter Norma Shearer stood back as March's image was projected on the wall in tribute to the first Oscar-winning horror performance.
Frederick March, who was almost simian, and I'm not taking away from his performance, which richly deserved an Oscar. But it was like something, in a sense, vaguely from Planet of the Apes. The makeup was brilliant, but it was, as I say, somewhat simian.
In 1940, Universal Pictures tried their hand at the Jekyll and Hyde story, and they ensured their investment by casting horror legends Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in major roles. In this effort, Stanley Ridges played the monster with absolutely no horror makeup, simian or otherwise.
Big shot.
Yeah, fix it up, will you?
How'd you get it?
The coppers shot me. Only a scratch.
How'd you get it?
Well, don't ride me. It's your fault anyway.
Mine?
Yeah. We'll take the bucks. Go ahead and shoot. You want to dive 200 feet for it? Keep him covered. You're sneaking out on him.
What do you mean?
You do.
Dad!
Perfect.
The following year, MGM bought the rights to the Paramount Jekyll and Hyde script and virtually reshot it scene for scene with Spencer Tracy as the good doctor.
Man is not truly one, but two. Now, supposing we could break that chain, separate those two selves, free the good in man and let it go on to its higher destiny, and segregate the bad. Let it destroy itself in its own degradation.
Good heavens.
Why, Dr. Jekyll?
Hopelessly insane.
This is pure balderdash.
You're dealing with things it would be better not to mention for your own sake. There might be trouble.
Ingrid Bergman and Lana Turner were originally cast in the opposite roles, and I don't know, I think they decided that they would like to switch. And I'm glad they did. I think it was the best. I think Ingrid Bergman has never looked better than she's looked in that film, and she brings a real warm, likable character to it. You really feel for her when Hyde is doing all those nasty things.
For your own sake, Lanyon, do you want to live on as you have? Or do you want to have your safe peace, your reason even, blasted by a sight that would shock the lowest fiend in the inferno?
Author Somerset Maugham visited MGM during a scene in which Spencer Tracy visits an East End bar. Maugham asked what the picture was, and someone told him it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Spencer Tracy. Rather baffled, Maugham asked, which one is he playing now?
1942's The Mad Monster was something of a rural American version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Scientist George Zucco played the Dr. Jekyll part, but after administering some secret injections, allowed his retarded handyman to become Mr. Hyde. For actor Glenn Strange, he would later essay the role of Frankenstein's creation in several Universal films.
Door, quick! I never seen anything so awful in my life.
What are you talking about?
Something took after me down in the swamp.
What was it?
I don't know whether it was a man, a beast, or old Satan himself. I'm telling you, it was something awful.
Stevenson's story officially fell into the public domain in 1942. This meant that producers did not have to pay to adapt it, as if the law had ever stopped them before. Variations of the split personality tale appeared with alarming regularity.
My father was totally the antithesis of the roles he played. He was just the nicest, dearest, kindest, gentlest, funniest, wittiest, best, well-read, articulate man. And he did get an opportunity to play a lot of comedy when he guest appeared on television, and he did get an opportunity to spoof his own boogeyman image. I think he had great fun doing that, because he was far from a boogeyman.
Jerry Lewis took the Jekyll and Hyde comedy formula one step further by playing the dual role himself.
Drive it through my heart and bury me beside my father.
Well, do it! Do I have to kill myself? If you love me, please kill me!
I made myself cry when I watched it, because I really felt that. Because God, if you love me, kill me. You know, I don't want to be the daughter of Dr. Jekyll.
Jekyll and Hyde monsters were more popular than ever in the 1950s, especially in low-budget efforts like the hideous Sun Demon, where atomic energy is blamed for this creature's dual personality.
I thought it was a great, again, all these pictures that everybody else is always knocking, I thought it was a great picture. I loved it. I mean, here it is. Of course, I have great sympathy for anyone who takes almost no money and goes out and tries to make something. Having been there and still doing it in certain levels, I have nothing but admiration for people like that. It takes a lot of guts and to put your money where your mouth is and get out there. And I thought he did a very good job. The monster was very memorable. You wanted to feel sorry for the guy. They wasted no time getting around to it, and some of it was very artfully done. Where he smashes the mirror, I thought was just great.
Atomic energy also got the blame for another Jekyll and Hyde.
The thing that I remember about Hand to Death was that our older son, Martin David, and my wife Loretta came on the set, and they had that daggone monster thing on me, and he could hear his dad's voice coming out of it. He was petrified.
I'll get them out. No, don't touch him.
The first thing we must do, Alex, is notify the authorities and get you to a hospital.
No!
What should we do? What can we do?
I don't know. We just can't call the police and have them shot like an animal.
Alex, it's been 5 hours since you injected that second area. My God.
Dr. Ramsey? Alex?
At the very end, where I drowned out in the Pacific Ocean, I'm in that monster outfit, and there's no peripheral vision whatsoever. And waves are crashing on all sides of me, and I can't, I didn't know what to do. I just lying there, you know. It was really weird.
Don't shoot him, please! Alex, don't run anymore, please!
Boris Karloff was back in 1958 with a serious reworking of the Jekyll and Hyde story. The British made The Haunted Strangler.
Now, Hannah, who was it you saw?
It was too dark to see properly. He was more like a beast than a human being. It was the same man, the very same man. I tell you that if you brought me face to face with him now. It was the Haymarket Strangler.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, a Japanese Jekyll and Hyde monstrosity took the phrase, "two heads are better than one," to its most logical extreme in The Manster.
What happened?
He got away.
I think I know where he's going, to Taras. Follow me.
Right.
I deserve nothing better than you.
Hammer Films suffered one of their few financial setbacks in 1960, though conceptually the film was unique. Canadian Paul Massey played a bearded, middle-aged Jekyll and a clean-shaven, amoral Hyde. The script pointed out Victorian hypocrisy rather too well. In the words of director Terence Fisher, none of the characters was worth tuppence.
For God's sake, man, don't kill him.
Let me alone, Jekyll. Let me alone.
Jekyll.
The horror thing can't go on forever. Sadly, some of the other streams that I tried to instill into the company's product line just didn't work. Some did. We had a period of very good thrillers.
Hammer had another go at the story in 1971, with screenwriter Brian Clemens serving up a rather novel approach.
Brian Clemens was sitting there. Brian suddenly said, "I know. He mixes up the potion, he drinks it, and he turns into a woman." Well, we all fell about laughing. It's a very funny idea, but he wasn't laughing. He went home and he wrote the script.
There was some talk about me playing Sister Hyde. I was going to say Dr. Jekyll. And a very fine actress went on to play. There was quite a bit of nudity, and I wasn't that keen on that.
David Booth, I think was the name of the agent, said, "Oh, Martine, it's perfect. You've come at the absolute perfect time." And they said, "They've got the guy, and and it's Hammer." And I said, "Michael Carreras?" He said, "Yes." And I read the script, and I realized that they had some nudity, and I said, "Okay, fine, top, but not full nudity."
But of course, once you saw the two of them together, it was a brilliant piece of casting. And she did it very well, too.
But unfortunately, he was pressured. I think everybody was pressured, including Hammer was being pressured into going into more nudity, you know, to compete with what was going on. And they decided to go even further to full frontal nudity when I got on the set, and I said I did not agree to that, you know. So we had a bit of a contretemps. However, I used all of that sort of nervousness and that sort of rage and anger and stuff to birth myself, really. I mean, when I am there, I don't know anything about my anatomy.
It is I who exist, Dr. Jekyll, not you. It is I who will be rid of you. Rid of you!
It's Hyde, isn't it? How is your brother?
He hasn't been himself of late.
I mentioned the fact just now that I was in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is in fact accurate, although that was not the title of the film. For some reason which is quite beyond my comprehension, the producer or producers, I think there maybe were two, decided that the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was going to be retitled under the subtle title, I, Monster. Almost beggars belief, doesn't it? Anyway, that's what they called it. And I played Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Oh, but I wasn't allowed to call them that. Oh, no. Every other character in Stevenson's story in this film had the correct name. Every single actor, regardless of whoever he or she was playing, had the correct name from the Stevenson story. But yours truly, oh, no. They didn't call me Dr. Jekyll, who became Mr. Hyde. They called me Dr. Marlowe, who became Mr. Blake. Now, you work that out, but to me it's completely incomprehensible even to this day.
Television adaptations of the Stevenson classic are virtually innumerable. One of the earliest was an episode of the American television series Climax, with Michael Rennie performing live in the lead role.
I had tried on myself all the formulae which had failed. Now, if I was to succeed, did I dare take the consequences of my extraordinary act? I paused uncertain for a single heartbeat. Then I drank the liquid.
The tale of the well-meaning doctor and the ill-mannered alter ego will doubtless continue long into the next century. There is a central truth to the concept that most of us recognize immediately.
If you don't believe that, then some night when you are alone, light a candle in a room with a large mirror. Gaze into the face that is reflected back to you. Look into the eyes of your other half. If at the end of a few minutes you run screaming from the room, well, don't say I didn't warn you.